All right, well, we're convening, I guess, the Concerned Residents of Wakefield meeting for April 1st. We're the fools that keep showing up. Good
I'm
thing.
gonna do it.
Yeah.
Nobody else will.
I think a couple of things that we need to talk about is chair and co-chair, or tri-captains or something like that. I've had fun doing it. You know, I don't think I'm the best suited character for the job. It's not a bad thing. It's not a huge costly thing, but there are a couple of things that I hadn't paid attention to. One being the website, and somehow, you know, that discussion has to happen. But I'd rather go with the chair thing first. If that could be the first thing on the agenda, I think it would be great.
I'll nominate Flipper as chair.
Who's Flipper?
What do you mean? You know who Flipper is.
Do you know who Flipper is?
Sounds like a flipper.
Well,
Sounds like a seal to me.
I knew you.
I was a SEAL in a former life. He called me that because I've changed my mind on some issues like the Union Meadows purchase.
He flips.
He didn't say flop, he said flip.
Flipper. That's
Yeah.
Flipper.
Well, I think that I've adjusted my position as I've gained information. You know, my final position on it was if it's Fed money and strings involved, then I don't think it was a good idea. So, I mean, I thought it was a great idea putting it into conservation. You know, 121 and a half acres, 114 acres for 150,000. That's a good price in anybody's book. You know, so those things I supported. But the more I read about some things that were in some people's perception, perfect planning tools like Agenda 21, I rejected it after. The more I learned.
But there was 128 acres down, a little bit farther down, that they, a couple of years ago, they put in conservation too.
The McLaughlin and the Barbour.
In a couple of years, they'll be putting some more in. When are they gonna take my house? I live on the Union Meadow.
Well,
So offer it to them. You know, they'll pay you.
They'll take it.
They'll take it, and you can live there. And
But they come up with this, and I never contacted. If you wanted to build next door to me, I'd be contacting them.
you got to remember, when was the last time there was some wildlife in your neighborhood? If it could be considered part of the wildlife corridor, it's a prime candidate for conservation.
Well, I think it's a bad thing to have it there,
Yeah.
because here a few years ago, there was a couple of moose that coming across the water. It broke through the ice, and it was out there for 2-3 hours. And finally, we got the railroad track. We had quite a collection of people down there, a police cruiser, and they was waiting for fishing game. And finally, the moose got up. It was a mother moose and a baby moose, and they went up the track. Now, the police station used to sit right up next to the railroad track.
a cow and a sow.
The train come down by and got one of the two moose, and the other moose, as the train was trying to stop, as it was slowing up, it was, I wish I had a movie camera. That moose looked like it was pulling the train. As the moose was slowing up, the train was slowing up, and finally the train got stopped, and the moose stopped, stood there for a few minutes and walked down the track.
The young one got run over, right?
The young one got run over. But now we had a police cruiser there, waiting for fishing game. And I asked the question, anybody know whether the train is going down through yet? It seems so he could have got on the radio and said, he had a train, let me know. They could have radioed a train.
Yeah.
Let them know the moose is on the track.
Yeah.
But if that's what they're going to do, is just run over with a train, and we don't want the wildlife.
Yeah, and the wildlife, they don't really read those signs too well, you know, either.
And they only cross the road right where their sign is.
Right. And
Why
they
didn't
stay.
put a sign
Some
up?
woman did write about that. Well, why don't we move the sign so it's easy for them?
We'll take the sign down. They won't cross.
Yeah. Looks like your motion fails, for lack of a second.
second that.
Second one.
My motion for flipping.
I'll second that motion with Ralph.
I
Oh, boy.
voted.
All
But I
in
don't
favor?
really think with this smaller group.
I think you're right, maybe we should table this for
I
another.
think this would be a good thing for next month, and let the people know that we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Nothing against you, Ralph.
All right, no, I
But I
agree.
think we need a
Yes.
bigger majority.
I-
Might get some of the snowbirds back.
I completely agree.
Another month they will be.
Yeah.
Do you think next month would be an appropriate time to have our appreciation dinner? Where a lot more people come down for that appreciation dinner and stuff like that. Maybe that would be the best time to, straighten this
I
chair
think-
issue up.
I think you need more people to decide on something like that.
Yeah? Oh,
Then,
about
so
the
you got
dinner?
more people, draw for more people to do the work.
Yeah, yeah. Well, how about as far as scheduling a dinner? I know one of the things that's gonna have to happen, we'll have to talk to the restaurant and see if they're even gonna be open on next month's first Monday of the month. Then we'd wanna talk about what would they offer to serve,
I think you need that before you decide you're gonna have it.
the chair.
Will they do it? How much it's gonna cost,
Right.
and what's the choice of meals?
I'll work on the management, and I'll try to get an email out within 10 days. Try to get an answer out to everybody within 10 days. And try to, if it's okay with the restaurant, try to schedule that appreciation dinner for the first Monday of May. Does that sound all right? Because then a lot of people attend those things, and I think that would be the best time to nominate and elect officers. How do you feel about that?
Sounds like a plan for them.
Sounds a little tight.
A little tight? You want to schedule that out?
Only because I don't know when all the snowbirds are coming back, and, there's only half a dozen here.
Yeah.
Who knows? How many you gonna get for an answer?
Yeah. Well, why don't I do this? I'll talk to the management, see what they would maybe
they
they'd
come
want to
up with?
project it out to June, the first Monday in June.
Well, I think June would be better.
So,
I think so. I
Okay.
think June would be better.
Yeah, because 4 weeks is kind of quick to get something like that out.
yeah, okay. And also, one of my concerns is that, will it still be the same management? Maybe if things change hands, we might not be as welcome as we are right now, so.
That's true.
So, anyway, I'll find out, I'll talk to the
You know
folks.
whether management is changing.
I have no idea about any of that. I really don't. I haven't been in enough.
Having people look at it tonight, those people walking around looking at it. How's the sound, all right? Or do you need those?
Another, remember what else is on my email?
Is this the people that are looking to buy all the property here?
No, I think just the rest of the business.
I think this business, the building itself is owned by the same people that own all the other buildings.
Yeah, the
The building is, but the business is.
Right. Okay, and the email also had, I wanted to discuss the website. I think it's been taken down. There's an outstanding bill, and I think that could have been taken care of had I kept passing the bucket every month. Haven't done that, haven't seen the bucket since probably, I don't know, when's the last time Charlie was here?
That was before we voted.
Charlie got the bucket?
voted
Charlie got the
for,
bucket. But we'll find the bucket. I'm going to make an effort to square up with the website manager.
What does the website manager do?
I think she charges either $20 or $30 a month for posting all of the information that Crow puts out there. We haven't put a whole lot of information out there. Basically, it's the same website that Charlie and Arthur designed or got together. Has the membership. Well, it puts out there what we're standing for. You know what we're concerned about. It tells you the 2 pillars of the Crow organization.
So who owns that? Does the people do?
I believe that, you might want to correct me, Ed, I believe that the person that created it and actually operated it, she has more ownership over it than Crow does. I mean, Crow has if they're not paying the bill, they have really no ownership rights. So, I'm not sure how that all, you want to interpret any of that for me, Ed?
Who asked you to make the website? They own it.
Charlie and Arthur set it up, got it going.
Well, they would be, whoever's on the contract that they sign is the owner.
So could you,
Is that the domain name?
him go up and take it over and
I think so.
take care of the website?
Oh, you mean, can anybody administer it?
Can somebody else update it and stuff?
They can, but you know, it's a lot easier to have her do it.
Yeah.
Because she has the ability to go in there for $30 a month to do the calendar and stuff like that.
It's all work if you don't know what you're doing.
Pretty
I
good.
don't know how to do it.
Yeah, it is a lot of work if you don't know what you're doing.
exactly.
So,
what
I
you're
mean, I didn't keep track of it. I didn't realize that there was an arrearage as great as there is. And, you know, I'm compelled to square up with Donna because she's provided the service. So, as soon as I can do that, I'm going to do that. Go ahead, Ed.
She's also willing to set up a payment plan also, instead of paying that whole lump sum.
Right.
If you give her some money every month,
Yeah.
you know, she attempted
What is
to
the balance?
do that.
I think it's 1.5 years. So
That's
it's,
$30 a month?
yeah. It's in somewhere around $360 now. That maybe it was $20 a month, and now it's like 36 months in arrears or something like that. I can't remember.
I'm sure if you contacted her, she would work something out. As long as you have an agreement and you stick to the agreement, that would be fine.
Okay. So that would be an agreement between Donna and I. Or do I need to bring it back to the organization and say, hey, you know, this is what I'm trying to negotiate? Or, I mean,
She's waiting on the group.
right. Yeah. And then, Steve, you had pulled all the information out. I shook it and it disappeared like that.
Just flip.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, or Mr.
Yes.
Acting Chairman.
Sorry about that.
Also, what the website's good for is she also posts on there where she can, where somebody could see the videotape of the meetings. So when you go to the website, it'll say you can view all the Crow meetings here. You click that, she goes to the page that I've set up primarily for this group, and then you can watch the archived videos of all the meetings. And people have gone to that, so that's also what, it's good, it's a good resource.
With it being down now, it's kind of hard to check and see how many visits the site had, but do you have an idea? I mean, if I needed that information.
I don't believe there's a counter on the site, but she has these statistics inside of her program that she can actually go into that website and see what the traffic is.
Okay. All right. So I'll make that contact too. So that's 2 things. Contact this management, contact Donna.
I mean, the traffic is going from, the internet traffic is going to the Crow website, and then it's also being tallied on my website. So people are actually using that to find the videos. And also the calendar of events, which is important.
Yeah.
And the video on the bottom says wakefieldcrow.com or wakefieldnewhampshire.com, so people go to the website from seeing the video wherever it's pasted anywhere on the internet.
All right, so that part of the discussion, membership, you know, during the dinner, during the annual dinner, I think that'd be a better time to talk about whether we need a membership drive or a membership reaffirmation. I mean, I don't know. It seems like it may be a good thing, you know, being a productive part of the community. I think not so many people are attending these meetings because not so many people have things to complain about. And I think the idea of this monthly meeting was to afford everybody in town an opportunity to come in here and talk about what's rubbing them the wrong way, or you know, anything that they felt necessary to be addressed. So with the past elections, I think we are doing a lot better in town than we were 5 years ago. 2008, we had some problems. That year, we had one member on the select board that got put in there and created some change. It took a few more years to get 2 more members of the select board to be in a mindset that's putting their town first, not their individual priorities and status first. So I think we're on the right track. I really do. Another comment, Ed?
It's also important to note that the Republic was set up to utilize the selectmen's meetings, the planning board. You could also use your calendar to alert people in this group that they should also be attending their actual meetings, because that's where the effect on government occurs, is at that meeting. So you could meet here afterwards, talk about it after, talk about it before, and plan on what's happening in the next meeting.
At the onset of this group, I mean, we had what we call bird watchers who were going to planning board meetings and select board meetings, school board meetings, and they were pretty effective as far as coming back to our monthly meeting and reporting what they witnessed. And you know, again, I think some of those same members of our group are satisfied with the outcome of their actions, their peers' actions. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, I think the town we've got less to complain about currently than we did 2-3 years ago. So maybe that's a good thing.
Can we take and change complaint to concern?
Yeah.
I think the trouble is a lot of people out there think it's just to put complaints. And
Right,
that's
right.
wrong.
Yep.
We're just concerned of what's going on.
Sure. We've certainly seen a way to affect some change. You know, by expressing your concern, I think it allows somebody else in the community to think about what you're concerned about, base their opinion on what they hear from you or see themselves. And I was told that in one former selectman's opinion, the word concern meant fear. You're just spreading around fear. That's what concerned residents of Wakefield do. They're making everybody fear everything. Like, well, no. To me, concern means caring. Otherwise, you know, it was less important to spread fear.
What about some ideas of things to do to get people to come back?
Well,
Start getting involved again in concerned residents.
I think one of the things that might help is there's 2 openings on the budget committee right now, and if we get some concerned residents willing to go in, maybe sit with the other budget committee members. Connie had to let go of her seat. I let go of my seat, joining the school board. Budget committee, to me, when I ran for the Board of Assessors, one of the things I told a few people was I wanted to assess the way the town does business. I wasn't sure what the Board of Assessors was all about. And I got written in that year 6 people wrote me into the budget committee. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting in a budget committee and I'm learning, you know, everything about the town business that the town doesn't want everybody to know, especially people like me. Very informative. I mean, you see, it's a bottom line budget. You hear it at the budget committee all the time. Oh, it's a bottom line budget. You can, you know, spend more than you have on that line because we'll just take it over here and we'll shift it where we need to make everything happen. There's usually overages here. We'll move, you know, money out of that line. And some budget committee members endorsed that, embraced it wholeheartedly, and a couple of other budget committee members thought that it might be smoke and mirrors. But I guess if the town, the voters, they go on election day and they vote yes for the operating budget that allows the government, the town government, to do what it needs to do to make ends meet and stay within that budget, and they call that business as usual, I guess.
I thought the line budget was, what was on that line was the maximum spend.
A line item budget. Each different department usually has a half a dozen or 12 other lines, spending lines. Like the planning board has a legal line, and secretary lines, and advertising lines, and stuff like that. They may spend one line more than it's written in.
But they're not supposed to.
They really shouldn't. They shouldn't, but practice has been, and I don't know, decades, I think since 1988, it's probably been a practice that, you know, you overdraw here, borrow from this, it's still within our department, and try to not go beyond that bottom line in our department. So it is, to me, it's smoke and mirrors.
But to me, a line item budget should be whatever's on this line, you can use the money for.
Yeah.
But
Well, a lot of times, like the fire department, they may have $10,000 in one line, and this is an exaggeration, but I'm trying to make an example of it. They'll say, we're going to buy new jackets for everybody, new jackets and boots.
that's supposed to be on the line item.
It is.
I used to have a fire budget.
Yeah. It is. It's a regular budget item. But if all of a sudden somebody left their jacket on a fire truck zipping down the road and they lost the jacket, they need to buy a new one, it may overdraw that line by $100 or $200, and it's kind of common practice to just spend that where you needed to spend it immediately and hope that, like the salt and the sand at the highway department, you know, there's been years where we've had light snow years, light ice, so if there's extra money, you know, they may run out and grab something that is a necessary tool or a necessary implement for a tractor or another truck. You know, knowing that their bottom line budget won't be exceeded, but that line over there is not going to get spent this year, so let's just take the money.
But it used to be a line item like that coat. If somebody left on that truck,
Yeah.
lost it,
Yeah.
they would buy it,
Yeah.
not the department.
Well, that's when there was what we called accountable government.
Oh, but now if you hold people accountable, now you get better than yourself.
Absolutely do, but it's rare that the government holds itself accountable nowadays.
I know it. And that's why I say a line item budget should be whatever is appropriate in that line.
Yeah. But then you'll
Should
find
stay in that line.
then you'll find certain segments of a budget committee that would want to overfund every line. You know, so in case there was an overspending, or not an overspending because it's within that line. Just inflate all the lines and we'll be okay, and the taxpayers bear the brunt of that. So, I mean, I don't know whether I'd want overtaxation for silly things, you know, because the tax doesn't really ever shrink, you know. I mean, this town has been good. When you look at other towns in the state, Wakefield really is in pretty good shape financially.
Financially, it would be in better shape if we didn't buy so much equipment, if we don't have a manpower to man. A fire truck, you need 15 men to man it,
Yeah.
not 2,
Yeah.
not 1. Why don't we roll a truck? and put them, the rest in the bus, and bus them, now they can all fight fire. You don't need a radio or a truck.
Yeah.
That's what you need, that's what you got today.
And the argument that has prevailed is, you don't need a fire truck until you need a fire truck. You know, and when you need a fire truck, you can't get enough fire trucks down that road fast enough to save your burning home.
But what I'm saying is, one truck with 10 men can do a hell of a lot more than 4 trucks with 5 men.
I believe that.
Because you got 4 drivers responsible for the truck.
Yep.
They ain't supposed to leave the truck.
Yeah.
Unless the laws have changed.
I don't know about the laws too much, but
Everybody's got a radio, and everybody's got a truck.
yeah.
They go to the fire, but now we got nobody to fight the fire.
Yeah.
In Rochester one time, we'd get out of Wakefield. In Rochester one day, I was at my brother's house. He used to live across from Market Basket. And I was just getting ready to go, and I said, oh, we were standing there talking. And I said, there's a ladder truck, a fire truck, a rescue truck, ambulance, and a police cruiser. So I waited a few minutes, you know. I said, well, I'm leaving. I come north. And where were they? It was, one truck was in the dooryard, that road that turns where Spalding Fiber used to be in North Rochester. That low apartment building, one truck set in there, the ladder truck, you know, the rescue truck set up on the road.
That Indian Shores, they call that?
Indian
Shores Road, it turns into River Road over in Lebanon.
Yeah, it goes, you go across the bridge, Indian Shore Road, still off the road.
Yeah.
Spalding Road, Spalding Street, something. But what did they have? A dryer was smoking. But now the ladder truck and rescue truck parked up around the corner, they're useless. Now they can't turn around and get back in the dooryard. They can't help them.
Every day that I am in town here, that I see a fire truck parked in front of the town hall in the no parking zone, nobody in it, but it's sitting there idling. It's like,
Well,
number one, you're in a no parking zone, blocking the main exit of the town hall. You know, maybe they leave it running so that anybody can hop in it and move it in case of an emergency, but
they go up there, they might have one piece of paper they're taking up there to give the town administrator.
yeah,
Or they're going up to pick up a paper, now it takes 2 of them to do it.
yeah.
Not only have one truck, but it takes 2 of them.
Yeah, and while it sits there idling for 10, 15 minutes, it's every 6 minutes is a gallon of fuel, right? Or a mile of fuel. So, I mean, they could park it in the parking lot, turn it off, walk across it
Do we
with any
really,
other citizen.
do we really need to take a fire truck to
Why
go
don't
to?
they take this rescue with
Yeah.
you know, the
I think
little,
you're talking
The
about
rapid
that.
response
That's
vehicle?
what they usually use. Oh, it's now and then it's an ambulance.
the 2 paramedics, I mean, that's what they are,
Yeah.
so take that.
We're still a little town with big town aspirations, you know, a big town attitude, a lot of leadership roles, but
One day they had the ambulance down in Union, and 2 guys was up on the roof. I would say putting tile on the roof with the ambulance running. And go with them. Anybody could jump in and they was up on the roof.
Pete, do you think you and Jerry want to set your sights on the budget committee?
I give it a shot.
They're having letters of interest received at the town hall for anybody that is interested in serving. And I think they're going to try to decide on April 15th. And I definitely think that the budget committee is one of the most important parts of the town government. It's really, they're elected officials. They're supposed to be listening to their peers in town, you know, what they have to say. Go in there not with just what they personally want to see happen, but with in mind what they know their neighbors and townspeople are expecting.
Why wouldn't they take, how many people ran for the office here? A couple of months ago?
4 people ran for 3 seats.
For 3 seats.
Yeah.
So why didn't they pick that 4th person as one?
Well, because he wasn't
Nothing
voted
against
in.
you.
He didn't get voted in. I mean, there was 730 people, I think, vote, and he got the less votes out of the 4 people. So, would they consider putting him on the thing when the people didn't vote him in? There's some people that have a problem with that. Some people wouldn't care about that at all. He was interested enough to put his name on the ballot. But some people would say, I didn't give her my vote. Whoever they didn't give the vote to is because I didn't think they would properly represent our town. So,
It wasn't because the other 3 people were better known.
absolutely, that was the reason, in my opinion.
Well, that's what I was going on.
Yeah.
If I went in there and I didn't know somebody, might be well qualified for the job, and you only got if you vote for 3, I might vote for 3 I knew that could do the job.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy could do a better job, but
Could
I don't know who he was, so I didn't vote for him.
Could absolutely be, better qualified to do the job. The idea of getting a number of people interested, for those 2 extra seats. Number one, it shows the people that are sitting at the budget committee, well, here's 4 or 5 people interested. Next year when we're running, maybe they'll sign up again and run in an election, and maybe right now, from this point on, they're gonna keep an eye on everything I do. And so maybe I better have a little talk with that guy or girl and see where their heart or mind is. And
How many people on the budget committee? 9?
there's 9 elected members.
Yeah, I mean, elected one.
Yeah, and then there's 3
Yeah, right.
serving every 3 years. So
Because when we had a union precinct, we had a representative.
that was the fire precincts.
Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
union.
Now there's school board has a rep, the water district has a rep, and the select board has a rep. So there's 12 votes, which doesn't make sense because there's no odd man to break the tie if there was ever a tie. But it's how it's been done for the last, I don't know how many years, since the fire precincts were put out of business.
Well, the town, the people down there voted to listen to the fire chief. They said, they went down and said, and told the people that the fire department would stay here and would be operating. The truck never go. You have a fire down there, at East Wakefield, pull in, but you don't have one community. They like, it was lies right from the start.
Yeah. And I think Wakefield is getting to the point where we can start making promises that they're willing to keep. There have been in the past promises made that the guy making the promise had no intention of keeping that promise from the moment he sat at this meeting campaigning for select person. It's just better days are here, I believe.
Yeah.
Go back to the voting. There's like 5,000 people in this town.
A little more.
Yeah. There's
But
more.
There must be
700
like
is good.
1,500 young people.
There's only what, how many vote? 500 or
There's
something?
not even
600?
1,000. It was
Not
like
even 1,000.
700, 800 people.
I think there was
600 and some
A lot,
odd.
a lot of them go to Florida, and they don't,
Yeah, but-
well, between the absentee
Yeah,
ballots.
but you can absentee
yeah,
it.
you have to.
A lot of voter apathy in town, a lot of people, they don't see anything affecting them directly, things are going pretty well. They look at their tax bill and they may
Yeah, I
have,
can afford it.
they may have somebody down in,
One of the big reasons you don't get people out to vote is how many times have you had stuff voted down at town meeting or when they were election time? A couple times, one time, they had a police cruiser. They had a police cruiser. They wanted to take and turn over the fire department, and it was voted down by the people. Within 30 days, the fire chief was driving around with it all painted.
What I don't understand is, a lot of people, they go to Florida, they don't come back till, like, they start coming back now in April, right?
Yeah.
Why can't they make a voting the last week of April or something instead of March, where all the people are gone out of here?
Well,
I know they can
Your
absentee
local
ballot.
people.
But it's a
No, but I mean,
state.
is
Yeah,
that a
the
state
state.
law? or
Well,
what is it?
when the system started, wintertime was the time where you weren't out in the fields working, you weren't, you know, I mean, you were
Yeah, they
cutting
were
timber and stuff like
pulling
that.
potatoes.
Politics was always a wintertime activity.
Wintertime activity, yeah.
And so towards the end of the battle,
Right.
all
That's what the hunt-
Thanksgiving and Christmas, when you're poking each other in the eye, and finally March comes along and you've had enough battling, it's time to vote for whoever you want to vote
That's
for.
basically the hot chocolate and the gingerbread deal.
Yeah.
And you would think, though, it would be better if they had it later, where more people were around and had a chance to vote, voice their opinion on things.
Mm.
You know, a lot of people don't bother with absent, and they don't get involved. When they're down in Florida, they don't, you know, they don't care about what's going on up in East Wakefield. There are a lot of them.
A lot of taxpayers, some taxpayers
Everything,
keep an eye on it, yeah.
I mean,
I think it's just a tradition that, you know, back when this system was set up, nobody was running down to Florida for the winter.
Right.
You know, people were,
It's kind of strange.
Having
600 people vote, there's 5,000 population, you said 5,500
yeah,
or something like that.
less than a 10% representation.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's terrible.
Hot button issues, you know, I mean, there was a time when we voted down a town planner and we ended up with a town planner anyway. That was a situation where the budget committee believed they were doing the right thing, getting the most value out of their out of everybody's tax dollars by having an in-house full-time planner as opposed to using a planning service.
See, that's why you don't have a lot of people go out and vote.
Yeah, they get
Because,
disgusted.
there was a big case there, the
Yep.
town planner, just a few years ago,
Yeah.
voted
yeah.
out.
Yeah, they voted it down twice.
Yeah, and they had it in them. So they're gonna do what they want, and that's what the younger people think.
But astute thinkers at the budget committee level is benefit to the town. So people who look at the different lines, you know, and say, not with bias, not with prejudice, they could say, it's just not a logical way to spend your tax dollars. Thanks for the phone. So hopefully you guys would consider it, and anybody in TV land or, you know, in town that wants to consider it also. I think it's as important as the Board of Assessors, which is as equally important as the Board of Selectmen. It's the checks and balance that the town always needs to have. And it's going to be there's an effort to get a certain train of thought back on that budget committee, but I don't know, we'll see what happens, I guess.
You got two candidates right there?
There's 2 seats.
I'll
You
give
know-
it some thought, I can't guarantee it.
Yeah, it's
Give it
6 to 8 meetings during the last 4 months of the year. Well, into January, February, but there's about 6 town meetings and usually two school meetings, and then there's the deliberative session for both town and school.
But you're talking about all,
Why did you stop?
When are the meetings?
Your time was up, or?
My time would be up next March in
So you
2014.
chose to go on another committee?
I chose to go on the school board only because, well, I thought about running for it a few times. I never wanted to leave the budget committee, and I knew that there would be, you know, unless I was the school board's budget committee rep, I wouldn't be able to sit on it. It's just a conflict, statutes don't allow. So then there was a resignation at the school board, and elections was 3 weeks away, and I thought there was 3 or 4 other people that were interested in being on the school board. I put my name in as a letter of interest the noontime of the deadline, and there was one other letter of interest, and that person was a candidate for a 3-year seat for the school board, so she withdrew her letter of interest, got elected in the next week after that. I resigned from the budget committee the day after I got nominated or appointed to the school board. And I would have done that with or without guidance.
So when are the meetings? When did you say the meetings were?
The meetings, if they have any kind, the budget committee meetings you're talking about, they may do one halfway through the year, May, June, something like that, just to see where everything's standing. Then they'll do the same type of meeting again in August, after the department heads have all kind of projected their budgets towards the selectmen. And then they start in earnest in November, October, November. And it's usually a Saturday from 9 to 1 in the afternoon. And then they have a couple other meetings, usually Mondays or Thursday nights. But it is, I don't think it's a total of eight meetings, including the school district, so.
In a year.
In a year. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, the numbers, without these, I mean, I wouldn't be able to read them. They're very small numbers, kind of hoping that the idea is to save paper, keep the print fine so you fit everything on one page, but it's a struggle to see the numbers. And once you get I was there for 5 years, and probably the first 3, I was trying to, realize what the first 3 numbers is. Every line has like 10 numbers, 3 numbers dash, some other numbers, and those first 3 tell you where you're at as far as the department and the spending you're in, whether it's legal or executive or general government and stuff like that. So once you start learning those numbers, it's a lot easier. It took me 3 years to figure it out, but it's fun. So maybe we'll be lucky and see you guys appointed there, if you consider it. There's something else, and Jerry, you had called me one day. And we had talked about
I was talking about agenda. We were talking about agenda 21. Well, every time I'm on the camera, I talk about agenda 21, and people say you're a conspiracy theorist. Okay, they
You John Birch guy, you.
Yeah, John Birch Society, and I look at all kind of different web pages, and that's not really what I'm all about. I'm just concerned about where our citizens are going in this country, where our small community is heading in this. All the communities are heading in this area here, and people should pay attention to Agenda 21. Sustainable development, smart growth, they're all buzzwords for Agenda 21. So I'm not going to say Agenda 21, I keep saying this on camera. Look for the small buzzwords: smart growth, sustainable development, anything to do with taking your private property rights away from you. It's all about Agenda 21. And I'm just a little concerned about our kids, our grandkids, and what's going on and what's going to happen in the future if we don't pay attention to this. And people should start coming to these meetings, and I would like to invite our selectmen, while I'm at it, to come to these meetings. I don't know if they're allowed to come, are they?
Yep, absolutely.
But I think it's their obligation to come here and listen to what the people have to say about what's going on with Agenda 21. There's some current concerns about it, and every person in this room, I think, is concerned about Agenda 21. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's only a handful of us, and I'm sure if there was other ones here, there's probably some more. But the word has to get out, and I think our selectmen should come here, and I'm inviting them myself. And there's a lot of information about it, that there's a plan that's going around from, it started in Nashua. There's 9 planning commissions, and it's, what do they call it? Granite State Futures is the name of it. And there's 9 planning commissions. They come into the town and you hire, you talk to these people, and they say they're town planners, and then you have to sign up in an agreement with them to follow their rules and regulations, and little does the town know that if they don't follow the rules and regulations after signing on to this, there's going to be some fines, and there's going to be some, it's going to cost the town some money if they don't know what they're doing. And they can take the land away from you too. So be very careful what you're doing. There's a whole packet here to learn about, and I think every selectman should have one of these packets. And if they want, I'll make them up, there's 3 selectmen, they should have it and start reading it.
So the commissions are, the Granite State Futures are approaching the Board of Selectmen?
Well, they're going around to, it's all about the, you know, town, when you hire these town planners.
Yeah.
That's all part of that Granite State Futures.
The 9 regional
The 9 regional planning,
commissions.
it started in Nashua, and there's 9 regional planning commissions in the state of New Hampshire, and they're going around and selling the bill of goods, and they think it's great because it's free money, and
Nothing's free.
nothing's free.
Nothing is free.
And I think that, you know, they should have one of these packets. If they want a packet, they can call me at my house. Or my name's Jerry Crocco. My phone number is 522-9418, area code 603. And I'll be glad to print every one of our selectmen a copy of this. But I think they should show up and have a little concern, because they are like the President of the United States, these 3 people in there. They're supposed to watch over the welfare and the concerns of our citizens, and we put them in there to do this. And I think the concern, that we're all concerned in this town for what's happening, and I think that, you know, we ought to pay attention.
I think you'll find our current board, 3 members on our current Board of Selectmen, are going to be thoughtful and receptive of the idea that the bill of goods we've been sold in the state, in the county, in the town, the goods we've received is not what we've been promised, and I think the current Board of Selectmen are wise enough to see that.
I'm sure they are. There's another lady in there that I like, Connie.
Connie, yeah.
And I voted for her, and I gave her a packet that night when she was here on Agenda 21. And I don't think she was aware of it. She asked me for that packet, and I gave it to her. And I had a good feeling about her when I handed her that packet, that she was going to read it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because I can tell you right now, I've known her all my life, all my conscious life, and wow.
She was a school teacher.
No. She was a
I heard she
neighbor.
was a school
No,
teacher.
she was a neighbor that I put her through hell when I was a kid growing up, you know, I mean, and she always, wasn't always extremely patient, but in retrospect, she had a huge degree of patience with me as a kid growing up. And if you can provide an argument to her that shows her perspective might not be, if you can show her evidence, her perspective may not be right on the target, she'll change her direction. She's smart enough that way.
I'm not here to speak. I mean, I say the same thing every week, every month when I come. I'm not here to go after anybody. I'm just here because I am a concerned citizen for everybody, for myself, for our kids, for our grandkids, for the future of this town. I'm just trying to help them out. I'm not, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and you know, I wish I wouldn't have to even tell you this, but it's very serious business, and I think it's some concern that we should be paying attention to, and all the people in this town should.
Well, with leaders that have kids and grandkids, you'll find more, them taking more time to understand what you're talking about. The people without grandkids,
Right.
you know, they don't mind so much not leaving anything.
Well, you know, I tell people some of this stuff, what's going on, and you know what they say to me? The retired people. oh, well, I ain't gonna be around too long, what do I care? And I tell them, well, obviously you don't have grandkids. You know, I says, how old do you think I am?
No, I don't, but I care about that.
I'm 62 years old, I might die tomorrow, right? I mean, but I'm concerned, I got grandkids, my kids, they still have to, you know, they still have to grow up.
Yeah, I don't mean to say that you have to have grandkids to be caring.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he?
What I know, you know,
But I know I want my freedoms, and I don't want anybody to take my property away from me. That's another concern, okay? And I said this before. My father was 90 years old. He died in 2007, and he broke up the Nazi concentration camp in Germany. He was in the infantry when Hitler was burning the Jews, and he told me, he says, you know what? He says, he read a lot of books. He says, you know what happened with Hitler, what he did to his people, the Poles and all his own people, he took their guns away. So what happened there could happen here in the United States. And don't think it can't happen, and it can happen in the United States. We've had it too easy, and we're too naive about, you know, what's going on. I mean, you know, everything's been great. Well, things are changing.
huge amounts of blind faith.
Right.
The Second Amendment was written, Jefferson said it, in the reason that people are allowed to have guns in this country, one of the reasons is protect you from the government.
Right. You draw the line between the federal government and yourself, you know.
Yeah, Jefferson also said that when your government is larger than the people they represent, your government's way too large.
Oh, way too big.
Yeah. So
And nowadays we're at
just,
that. You know, when they were talking about the sequester, I was listening to public television. They were talking about it being here in New Hampshire, 6,000 people were going to be laid off. That's 1% of the state workforce. I'm thinking, 6,000 being 1%, that means there's 600,000 people in the state of New Hampshire that have a job in one government form or another. That's a lot of people when there's
a lot of people.
There's only 1.3 million people. I mean, it's almost half of the population that has a government job. And I think that includes teachers, you know, policemen, firemen, all of that.
They're all government
stuff.
jobs.
So it's something to think about. Numbers are.
How many people in the state of New Hampshire?
I think 1.3 million
600,000 at work?
for the state. And one.
But when I say 600,000, that's almost half.
It is almost half. Yeah.
But most people are married, got kids. So your workforce wouldn't be by that hard. The total workforce.
Well, I mean that. I'm willing to. I don't know what the government subsidies, what the percentage of the population is that receives help from the government, and I don't know if those. I don't think the numbers reflect the folks that receive help from the state. You know, whether it's welfare or you know, some sort of assistance. I don't think those numbers include that population. So when you start to think about that population, there's 48 kids in, it's either Portsmouth or Hampton, 48 kids that are homeless. They go to school before high school. And I was seeing that the other day on public TV. It's a lot of kids in one town that are homeless. I think it's Portsmouth. So, you know, that, what is the percentage of the population out of that 1.3 million that's not working, you know? I guess everybody contributes in one way or another, but there's a lot of people in society today that have been raised on the government teat, you know, and they won't let go of that supplement. No matter how much they're encouraged or egged on or, you know, enabled, they just won't let go of the
gimme.
The gimme.
Gimme.
But that's their problem, you know. I think that, I mean, it's everybody in the state's every taxpayer in the state's problem, but it's, I mean, it's also, it has to be a problem for them to deal with. Some folks, I guess some folks aren't caring enough to have pride. I don't know. I can't fathom it.
That was probably one of the key words, pride.
Yeah.
You'd rather live off somebody else than doing your own, doing the job yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. Steve, you've been awful quiet. What, didn't you know this was Bloviation Nation?
The wheel now.
Uh-huh.
He's a wheel now.
Any ideas for future meetings?
We should have the school board back and hold them to the fire.
Yeah, we could do that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but we
We
there
have
is-
one of the, either the three members of the Board of Selectmen or representative come in for, talk about the town, you know, see what's going on.
And make sure if we do end up having our appreciation dinner, make sure that everybody that's elected, whether they're a member of Crow or not, they get an invitation to the appreciation dinner. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things in town to be thankful for. And
Yeah, but people who's elected, they're out there, they're concerned, or they wouldn't be out there run for a job.
Right, right. So they're concerned whether they want to admit it or not.
Yeah. No, seriously,
Yeah.
if they're not concerned about the town, why would they be running?
Well,
What you gonna ask them?
I can
They-
tell
they
you
want
one
something.
quote that I heard from a former select person, and it was, "I've done so much for this town, I'm done giving to this town." We were standing outside of a Conservation Commission meeting one night, Mr. Mankus and Bill Day and myself, and he hadn't become a candidate for the select board yet, but he had stated clearly and loudly and proudly that all done doing things for the town for free. If he wasn't gonna get something from it, he wasn't gonna do nothing for it.
John Buckley.
No, it was one of our, you know, for the first time in a long time, we've had a selectman that didn't make a second term, hadn't been elected to a second consecutive term. And I don't know if that, I'd like to blame me for it, but I think it's more his own fault.
I think the town realized that change needed to happen.
Oh, I think so too.
And I believe the reason, well, you know, you've got one that was in place, one that had been, and then a new candidate. And they didn't want the old, and they didn't want the present. They wanted to see something different.
You also have people who are on power trips.
Unbelievable power trips.
And they think, you know, and that's why they run.
That's why they're on.
Because then they walk around town like, oh, I'm important. Seriously? Get over yourself.
It's really not a stepping stone.
Because no one's that important.
No.
Well, the candidate that had come and gone, you know, maybe you should consider a run for Congress, because you know that's the opposite of progress. And, you know, he'd fit right in. I won't be his campaign manager, I can guarantee you that. What else should we try to, the Oath Keepers, that was something that I thought was important. Maybe we should try to set up a particular monthly meeting and invite this group and try to get a better understanding of what our state constitution holds for its citizens. By experience, I can say a lot of people, including myself, first couple of times I did this, put up your hand, you take an oath, you blah, 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 and sign on the piece of paper, and walk out the door thinking you're a new member, or, you know, appointee or whatever. if you don't understand what you're taking an oath to uphold, you really shouldn't be taking the oath to uphold it. And now that I understand what that 7th article to the state constitution holds, you know.
How about, let's see, one of the reps, state rep, Bill Nelson, I think he lives over in Brookfield.
He does.
He could come. We could get him, or Bradley, or not,
Yep.
that'd be an idea.
Yep. But the group, the Oath Keepers, I think they're more of a teaching group, I'm not sure. They're an awareness group of what it is once you swear to do something. Most people take it lightly, you know, most elected or appointed officials take that oath very lightly.
Yeah.
And some people walk out of that room thinking they can do no wrong. But I think it's extremely important to protect our state sovereignty, especially in days like these. You know.
What is the problem with our police department?
Our police department?
Why are
What
we
is
losing so many police departments?
Well, we're a, what do they call it, a
The training center.
turnstile kind of.
Well, somebody ought to look at it and why. Must be a reason
Money.
why somebody can't stay here after they get trained.
Well,
It must be something in the leadership.
it could be in the leadership, it could be in the wage lines, you know, it could be that the budget committee is so tight that we don't allow.
That, I think it's a wrong concept to even look at. Just like they say to school, the teachers underpaid, but the teachers knew what the pay was when they went and looked for the job. The police officer knows. This free police officer,
School?
the
Oh, the
woman
grant.
that was on a grant,
Yeah.
the grant's run out. Where is she today? She's going to the state police or going to the state police.
Really? No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We do offer a pretty good program as far as startup, you know, as far as officers that want to go to the academy and stuff like that, we pay for that.
But any town does that. They all pay that.
Really?
Why did you have, I'm sure that you had one that went from here to New Durham. I'm sure that if you check the pay scale, it probably ain't making as much money over there as he was here. That's one particular one, year and a half, 2 years ago, he left.
Yeah.
Now he's going to New Durham. The numbers that turning over, we've had a couple that got done going to deputy sheriff.
Yeah. And some of our sheriff's deputies work here too, part-time, you know,
Well,
so.
part-time,
Yeah.
but they originally come from here, and they're going to sheriff's department, now they're turning around and go back and work.
Yeah.
Well, hiring somebody, and if they haven't been to the academy, it's costing the town a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to hold them to, it's just like an enlistment. You know, you've got to do 4 years, but
Yeah.
sign here, you do 4.
Yeah.
You do 6. Or you want to go to power school, and it's 6 or 7.
Yeah.
You know?
But I was in management for years, and when you had a turnover, a big turnover, you look and find out what the reason was. You know, and this is what they used to do in the factory. If I had a lot of people was quitting, they're going to look at me, what am I doing wrong? They knew what the pay was when they come in. They know what the pay is when they come in. When they say, oh, these other towns are offering more. Oh, that's a bunch of crap.
When Rochester was having that big problem with their police department, Rochester, and they went and put a sign on Spalding Turnpike about the lowest paid police in the state.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
don't know, probably 10 years
And I
ago
bet you
now.
went out and looked, you find it wasn't.
And I'm going to say that I wonder how many of them really and truly left because of that.
Well,
Did
You
they have a
had,
big turnover there?
You had one who was a resource officer at Spalding High School for several years. He originally went to Milton, Rochester grabbed him, and I believe he grew up in Farmington. You know, originally was from Farmington, I believe where he was from. But when I had a store in Milton, he was a Milton cop, and then he went to Rochester because he was trying to further his education. There was a job opening which Milton didn't have. And he worked out, he got the resource officer. And one time, you know, he can't do his job because the school department's telling the police what they can and can't do.
Mm.
So he left. Oh yeah, that's your school department. They have police standards, but the school department tells them, no, you can't enforce that. In the city of Rochester.
Sounds like Border Patrol.
And now he is working.
Don't hurt them.
But he got done in the city of Rochester working in Middleton. Don't tell me Middleton's paying more than Rochester.
Unless you're top dog.
Huh?
Unless you're right up there on the top of the pyramid.
But they get extra because Middleton does all this work out on the highway, directing traffic.
Special detail. Detail.
Yeah, but the detail's the biggest part of one of the police crews out there. They're standing watching what the workers are doing. They ain't watching the traffic. And they wonder why all these policemen are getting hurt on detail. But if you take an individual getting paid to go out there at a third of the money that the police officer's making, he's going to be out there directing traffic. He don't care what they're doing up there on the wires.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice that if the highway department's out there got the road, they use their own people.
Yeah.
But public service comes, they got to have a police officer on both sides.
Yeah.
But they gotta pay.
Why is that? They wonder why our light bills keep going up.
I was in Farmington today, and there was a utility truck working on the poles, and two cruisers behind the utility truck. Hey, Tom. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. One guy was outside of the vehicle talking to the guy in the back cruiser, and traffic going both ways. Nobody's directing any traffic anywhere.
Hey, Tom.
Okay.
How you doing?
Doing great.
How was your vacation?
Very good. Sorry I'm late.
Did you bring us anything back?
No.
Not a t-shirt?
I brought nobody anything back.
Did you go to Florida? Florida?
You didn't bring back Minnie Mouse?
Nothing.
I think you should have.
Sorry, Rob.
That's all right. How's everything going? You been back to work for a week now?
I have, well, yeah, pretty much. Oh, a few days.
Got any idea about what would be a good time as far as having our annual, do you remember our annual dinner we've had to show appreciation at the restaurant?
Sure.
Do you remember what part of the year we'd have them? Fred, first he said it was summer, then he said it was winter, then he said it was spring.
I think June's a good.
We pretty much hit the whole year.
But I was trying to draw on past experience, and I couldn't remember the time of the year.
I don't know.
Oh, I think June.
I don't remember. Doesn't matter. When do we
Well,
want to have one?
We're gonna have, when are we gonna have the restaurant available? Gonna have people around, you know, we don't want anybody to take vacations and go to Florida while we're having our appreciation dinner. You're not gonna do that in the next couple months, are you?
No, I'm done. I go once a year, that's it.
Yeah, we dragged you all the way down here from, well, you got home, got your dinner before you came down, I hope.
Yeah, I had a 7 o'clock appointment up at a house I'm trying to sell up on Blue Lake. At 7 o'clock appointment up there I had to be at. So, I got my dinner before I
Let
went in.
Susie sell it, she'll get the commission, and you can just.
It wasn't that, it was construction related, it wasn't sales related.
Oh.
It's got a purchase and sale, but then they had a home inspection.
One in the village.
Uh,
Go
One
punch
in the
list.
village.
Well, good luck with that.
Thanks.
We're kind of winding down. Steve said he had things to do, places to go, cigarettes to smoke. Ed said, enough dead space, Ralph. Get on with it. We had, we discussed, what? Discussed the budget committee. You want to be on the budget committee? Discuss town elections. Any input on that?
No, thank you.
Did you get my email?
For helping me vote, helping me get elected.
I did.
If you guys voted for me.
I know one person that did.
Thanks, Rob.
And I know a couple other people I gave their cheat sheets to, you know, take this in the booth with you. But, that's all I know. I think Brad and Susie might have voted for it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't really think of anybody else that wanted to. Just enough, right?
Enough, no, enough. So,
Any other input, guys? Any hot button issues, Tom, that you think going on in town right now? Conservation land acquisitions?
I don't know of any, Rob. I don't know of any hot buttons.
I had a story from a guy the other day on conservation land.
Did you?
Yeah, he told me, he says, he's got this little four-wheel, a little Suzuki four-wheel. It goes everywhere. And he says, you know, I was talking to this group. He says, if they told me if I wanted to donate a little bit of money in a little bit of time, I'd have a key to every lock in this, every gate that they have on trails. I would be a key holder, he says. And then I could go in my Suzuki four-wheeler and I could go four-wheeling anywhere I wanted to go. He says, I thought about joining, but there are a couple of people I talked to, he says, that just didn't sound like they would appreciate my four-wheeler out there. So he didn't give them a small donation, didn't take a key. But I wondered, you know, how many folks take up that offer, you know, just for that key to every gate in the land. So, ooh.
What do you need a key for if you're gonna be walking?
Well, but if you have a little Suzuki four-wheeler.
Yeah, I can see why he'd want one, but the other people that have keys, I don't think they.
Well, if you're walking, you can walk around the gate.
I don't think they have four-wheelers, other people that have keys. I really don't.
Like you say, why do you need a key?
Yeah, right.
If you walk.
Yeah, walk.
Climb the fence and.
Or walk around the post. There's plenty of-
Yeah.
I know working on Corridor 19, I think it is, a trail. I didn't have a key, but I get around the gate with my machine, one way or another. Pick up a big boulder, set it off the side, drive through, grab the boulder, put it back, go do the work. Come back. It's always fun. It's always for a good cause. Trails and rails. Steve, any more input from you?
No, I think you've talked enough for the rest of us. I think you've covered everything.
Bloviated enough?
Uh-huh.
That's Steve's new word. There is a school board meeting Wednesday night, right? Anybody in the public wants to go there?
Well, that was,
Raise hell?
what about, maybe having once a year or twice a year, having an update for the police department, fire department, besides the selectmen? You know?
Have those emergency departments come in and maybe, let's see, I think we might have May or June figured out now, right? So we'd be July, August where we get them guys in here? Or the selectmen in here? Sorry about that, Ed. I didn't mean to holler in your mic. I think every time we have a meeting, every month we have a meeting, we should decide what's on the agenda for the next meeting. You know, to me, I'm pulling kind of things out of my hat, and I lost my hat.
But you know, you stay
wearing hoods.
Update on what's going on in Concord.
Yeah. So this next month, May, I'm shooting for an answer from the management here as far as the appreciation dinner. If they can do it in June, we'll do it in June, and maybe we can invite the selectmen for the month of May's meeting. Does that sound all right?
They do have one meeting on a Monday night, don't they?
The
I don't know
selectmen?
which one it is, though. What Monday?
We have Conservation Commission meetings on Monday nights.
But no selectmen.
No selectmen unless there's an emergency.
They have the 2 on Wednesdays, and they have a third one.
Well,
They have 3 meetings a month.
yeah, well, the last couple of months, they had every off Wednesday, they'd have a meeting at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. So they'd have a regular second or fourth Wednesday, and then on the first and third Wednesday, they'd have another meeting at the town hall at 3:30 to discuss. It kind of like be a workshop, kind of like be a how are we going to spend all this money kind of thing. I don't think they do
Closed
that.
door ones.
They're always open to the public, except for the non-public part of it. So, was that a motion to go into non-public? Brown eye?
Motion to adjourn.
I thought so. I'll second that.
I second that.
Thanks for showing up. Jerry, there was, you had another part of that presentation that
What we
you were gonna run by me or something we're gonna.
Oh, that was you,